Fox, we're talking about horror today.
We are.
And I don't. A fun fact about me, I know that you know this, is that when I was in middle school, there was a movie rental place not too far from my house, and
Yeah, Blockbuster.
it was called Video Update.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, okay. I just knew where you lived when you were a child, and there was a Blockbuster there when I was.
Oh, but
high school.
you know where I lived when I was
in Chandler.
high school.
Yeah.
Before I lived in South Chandler before that.
It
It doesn't matter.
I've never heard of Video Update. We both lived in Chandler, Arizona, so I've never heard of Video Update.
Anyway,
because you're old, like a dinosaur.
Yep.
That's Jurassic Park theme song.
Got it. Anyway.
Okay.
It was next to Video Paradise. There was this just kidding.
I know where Video Paradise is.
Video
yeah,
Paradise
absolutely.
was great.
I lived
So
right across the street.
So sorry, listeners. They had 2 for Tuesdays, 2 movies for $1.
Yeah.
You can rent it for the weekend. Maximum was 6 movies. My friends and I would rent 6 horror movies every weekend and just binge movies all the time until we had seen every horror movie in there. So I collected some of the most common and popular 80s horror movie franchises.
Oh, yeah.
Which I know you're familiar with some of these as well.
Seen
Most
plenty
of these
of
as well.
them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've given just a brief synopsis of the film,
Okay.
and I want you to guess which movie it is.
Guy kills person with knife.
Are you ready? So here is your 80s horror movie
All right,
quiz.
let's do this.
Are you ready?
As a 90s kid, I'm very unprepared.
3 rappers accidentally summon our horror villain. What follows is a chase through inner city streets. After visiting a rap contest, getting help from their transgender friend Fontaine, and the majority of our characters being gruesomely murdered, only one remains. Our villain is defeated, but the film ends hinting that our villain may actually still be active.
That last part is every single horror movie ever.
that may be a mark on like every single one of these.
Yeah.
Is this number 1? Friday the 13th 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Leprechaun, In the Hood, or Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth?
You're saying 80s. You're joking.
Or 90s. Like 80s, the franchises began in the late 70s and early 80s of these movies.
Okay, I
these
see.
Can
they
go
started,
into the 90s.
They can go. Okay, then
Yes.
it has to be Leprechaun.
It is Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I've seen every Leprechaun movie. I love them. Unironically, In the Hood or In the Hood, whatever, is one of the better ones.
It is In the Hood. That's
Hood.
a really missed opportunity to be In the Hood.
It should be. I think there's another one that.
Like if you're going to be this derivative,
there's a surprise.
inner city culture.
There's a surprising amount of, let's just say, urban leaning horror sequels out there. There's a trope of let's go to space this time. There's also a trope of this one is about black people.
Yeah, no, it's black. Yeah, absolutely, yes.
There's actually 2 in the
He
Hood.
has zombie fly girls in this one.
There
That's
are
a true thing.
There are 2 In the Hood Leprechaun movies.
You know how they defeat him in this?
No, I forget specifically.
They lace a joint with 4-leaf clovers.
That feels right. You know what? Look, you know what I'm going to say? At least they go for it.
Oh my gosh, that's true. So I don't remember most of these. There are a few of these that I remember vividly, actually, but most of these I don't remember because we would watch them once and then never watch them again. So I read through a lot of synopses.
Yeah.
And reading this one, I was like,
Oh, it's rough.
what?
It's rough.
What?
Yeah, but there's a Halloween that has I think Coolio in it.
That makes sense.
Where they take advantage of him being like a rapper. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay, so good work. 1 for 1.
Yeah.
Nice work. Okay, ready. A traveling carnival is between towns. By a chance encounter at a gas station, our diminutive villains find themselves among the props for the haunted ride in the carnival. While the ride was previously seen as a flop due to poor props, it becomes an instant success in the next town as our mini monsters are thought to be part of the ride. But while they begin tame and mischievous, they eventually escalate the horror to violence, and the carnival workers must find a way to get rid of them.
Carnival.
Is this Ghoulies 2, Puppet Master 4, or Child's Play 3? I believe in you. Can't have silence, Fox.
It's between. It's good radio. We have video. It's fine. You can just look at my introspective face.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Puppet Master.
No, this is Ghoulies 2,
Yeah.
my friend.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ghoulies 2.
I've seen some of the Child's Play. I've never seen any Ghoulies or Puppet Master movies.
So, fun fact about the Puppet Master. Oh, wait, hang on. I want to make sure that.
Yeah.
I want to double check and see if I'm going to give anything away here. Fun fact about the Puppet Master.
Mm-hmm.
The evil puppets in this are not evil. They're the good guys.
It switches. I think. I believe. There's a lot of Puppet Master.
Oh,
movies.
okay. So there's 5 Puppet Masters, I believe. I actually really enjoy it. It's a secret thing about Steve. I love the Puppet Master franchise.
Okay.
I really do.
Yeah.
There's 5 Puppet Master films, but then they actually cross over with Doll Man.
Yes.
And then there's also like Evil Toys or something like
Evil
that.
yeah.
Demonic Toys or something.
Demonic Toys is a movie. Yeah.
That's what. Okay. So and then there's Doll Man versus Demonic Toys.
Oh, it gets wild.
And,
yes.
Yeah, but these are like technically they reference the Puppet Master universe. They exist in the Puppet Master universe. They don't actually cross over.
Sure.
The puppets in the 5 movies are like they're spooky and scary, and sometimes they can get taken over by bad guys to do bad things. But for the most part, they're like the heroes of the story. It's weird. Anyway, so Ghoulies though. Ghoulies are like little demonic
guys.
baby looking
guys,
things.
yep.
Yeah. And
There's a lot of
hilarious.
little guy movies.
Ghoulies 3 was like a horror comedy of like co-ed college or that type of movie.
Oh yeah,
and we watched that a lot.
Across, you sure?
School.
Crossover between 2 terrible 80s subgenres.
All right, 1 for 1. You ready?
All right,
or 1 for 2.
I mean.
1 and 1. Not only has a relative of our villain escaped his grasp, but she has given birth to a child. While the villain manages to bring an end to the mother, the child escapes his grasp. Meanwhile, those who are protecting the child discover that our villain is cursed and that he will not stop as long as the curse is in effect. On top of this, it is discovered that a scientist has the DNA of the villain and plans to clone him. Our heroes manage to stop the scientist, kill the villain, and save the child. Or so they think. The movie's ending strongly suggests the story is not over.
Oh, really?
Gasp! Is this Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, or Hellraiser, Bloodline?
Oh, I was going to go with something else.
What were you going to go with?
I wanted to say a Chucky movie. There's Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky and Curse
Yeah.
of Chucky. All those words were in there.
Yeah.
Okay, give me the 3 again.
Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, or Hellraiser, Bloodline. I made sure to pick like key words, like I talk about a curse
100%.
in it. So Curse of Michael Myers, talk about
Bloodline
children, Dream Child, Bloodline. I'm pretty proud
I've ever
of
seen
this
the
one.
first 2 Hellraisers and then the remake. There are so many Hellraisers though. I'm gonna go with.
There's so many all of these.
That's true. That's true. They're all extremely cheap to make. I don't think it's.
You're thinking too hard about this.
I
Fox.
am.
This is a comedy intro to a podcast.
Yeah, I'm
This
gonna go
is
with
not our
Halloween.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to be like really vague about how people died because
Sure, of course.
Nightmare on Elm Street was in here.
Right,
so I
right,
can't
right,
say
right,
in
right.
dreams or whatever,
Nightmare on Elm
So-
Street has some of the best sequels ever.
The
first movie is the best.
Yes.
Then they go with look at how goofy this guy is,
Yeah.
and they go with comedy.
Okay.
All the way, and
That's what you're saying.
It's way more interesting than like
Yes.
Friday the 13th part whatever. Like
But I will say Wes Craven's New Nightmare
is a
scared
great
the
movie.
crap out
Just
of
a
me.
genuinely good movie.
Yeah, it is so meta in
Yeah.
the best way possible.
Yeah.
If you're into horror, watch Wes Craven's New
It's
Nightmare.
great, yeah.
It's a great film. It really is. This is something. This is kind of like a subject that you and I are both interested in that we never talk about.
It's true.
Anyway. All right, two for 3. Ready?
I am.
A journalist discovers a cult known as the Deaders.
The Deaders.
I
That's a good one. I like it.
The Deaders. In her research, she manages to find an artifact that can summon our main villains. While she doesn't use the artifact yet, when she meets the leader of the Deaders, he explains that the only person who can activate the artifact is someone with trauma-induced nihilism, and the cult exists to find such a person. The journalist happens to be such a person,
Oh, good.
and she is able to activate the artifact. When the monsters arrive, they casually wipe out the entire cult and then turn their eyes to the main character, who ends her own life rather than be taken by them. The subtitle of this film is Deader. Is
Deader.
this Puppet Master 2, Child's Play 7, or Hellraiser 7?
Hellraiser.
It is Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Yes, good job.
It's an artifact. It's got to be the cube. It's got to be the.
It is
the thing, and they summon the monsters and they kill you all. Yeah, the box.
Lament something. I can't
Whatever
remember what
it's
it's called.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
It is Hellraiser 7 Deader.
Deader. I've never. I feel like I have looked into all these. I will spend way much time looking at all these movies I haven't even seen. How do I not remember that it's called Hellraiser 7
Deader. I know. I thought the exact
terrible.
same thing. But I did toss in Child's Play 7 because its subtitle is Cult of Chucky. It's about a cult in here.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
so
the Child's Play movies are consistently pretty good.
agree to disagree.
They're the same. They're the same writer every time, so they strike the right tone every time.
Maybe to me, it's always I could never take Chucky seriously.
Sure, I
like
get it.
literally, even as a
I
middle
get it.
schooler, I
He
could
is-
never
he is
take
a
Chucky
comedy.
seriously.
It's
Yeah,
a comedy jokey thing.
Anyway, hey, let's do a podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Save and Continue, where theology and faith meet. I am Steve,
And I'm Kyle.
and we are here to spook you so good.
You know what they say about the end of February? Spooky season.
It's
spooky
season.
season.
And that's exactly what Capcom thought.
That's right.
Because Resident Evil 9,
They love to spook you.
they love to spook you, which is why Mega Man, just kidding. We are talking about, well, we're not talking about Resident Evil 9.
The
Because
day that this comes out, actually, Resident Evil 9
is
drops.
the same day that it releases.
We
yes.
want. I'll talk about it next time for sure.
Oh,
Because I'm so pumped to play
We're
it.
gonna be talking about this game. The lights behind you were red, and my save point sign is red right now over
Yep.
there because I'm playing a different horror game, which I'm going to talk about later.
Okay.
But I'm going to give the same aesthetic to my
Sure,
office when I'm playing RE9. But what we did want to talk about today was horror and Christianity.
Yeah.
The genre of horror is something that is kind of controversial, I guess, as far as it goes for Christians.
Sure, in the Christian realm, yeah.
Yeah. Just depending on how we want to address this. Is it okay? Is it not okay? What is too far? Blah, blah, blah. Things like that. And so today we thought we'd talk about the genre of horror itself, using Resident Evil 9 as kind of our launching point, but mostly to talk about the genre in its entirety. So before we get to this, though, I think it is important that we do hit something we should be doing every episode.
Yeah.
Is really defining our premise here.
Okay.
So what is horror?
Horror.
Kyle Fox.
I mean, okay, horror obviously is an emotion that we feel. I would say a revulsion towards something might be, or a fear is another, synonym.
Yeah, fear.
What we're talking about here is a genre of media that's, I would say, in my opinion, horror's purpose is to address topics or to face concepts that we generally find to be negative or ones that are just not positive. Things that are hard to face. But that also can mean a lot of different things, of course. That can mean an actual, I'm afraid of something. That could mean, Stephen King once said that if you can't get the scare, go for the gross out. Mm-hmm. I'd say there's a lot of gross out stuff that can be involved in the horror genre and still be included there. Sometimes we talk about horror in terms of surprise, like a jump scare. You're not really afraid that something just popped out of the closet or whatever. You're surprised, but it's still included in the horror genre. But that's what I think of when I think of the concept of horror.
No, I think that's well defined and well stated.
Designed to address things that we don't typically like to feel.
Right. And but to do it in a safe place.
Sure.
Like things that, whether we actually believe they are real or not, we allow ourselves a suspension of disbelief to experience things that we would otherwise not want to experience.
Right.
Because in our subconscious, we know we are safe and it's going to be okay, and whatnot.
Yeah.
what would you do to separate like horror and thriller or suspense? Because there's movies like Cape Fear, which was a great movie in the 90s,
Sure.
or The Shining. Like, I don't know if I would consider The Shining horror per se. For me,
I definitely would.
you would?
Yeah.
Because to me, it's, I mean, I guess psychological horror, but like there's just, I asked the question, I'm trying to answer it myself.
Sure.
How would you like distinguish these things?
I don't know. A lot of it's going to be I know it when I feel it. Thriller to me is a suspense of what's going to happen. More and like a visceral feeling of like nervous.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, we're going to be splitting hairs a little bit here. To me, horror is more about the sense of fear, addressing, exploring topics that we are afraid to feel. That we so a thriller can absolutely be fear. If I am afraid of somebody stalking me, and like that's a horror movie right there. That is like what we talk about when we talk about Friday the 13th. Sure, we don't want to be stabbed and murdered by somebody, but we also want to know that there's not somebody outside of our house who wants to kill us. Like that's also a scary thing. And
right.
that is so I would say horror though gets more viscerally fearful and also can leave us I think a lot of good horror leaves us with a long-term sense of unease.
Yeah.
Dread.
Yeah.
Dread
Dread's
can
a
be a
great
big
word.
thing
Yeah.
where if I watch a thriller, generally when the story's over, it was relieved. The tension is relieved within the plot of the movie. Good horror continues on even if the actual plot is solved or resolved.
See, I would, again, we're all splitting hairs here, but I would say that most horror, or at least the easiest way to define horror with exceptions, would be to say it involves supernatural.
Really?
Which is why I would say The Shining to me kind of like toes that line, because there's always the question of like, is
Shining
this
is
supernatural,
explicitly supernatural.
or is it all in his head? Is he going insane?
I suppose.
Nobody else experiences.
I guess that's true. In the book, it is explicitly an alien presence.
right
In
in the
movie,
book.
it's
Yes, because it's Stephen King.
Because
and
it's Stephen King.
it's always going to be aliens with Stephen King.
It's much less black and white in the movie. Yes,
Right,
you're
right.
It's more of a psychological.
Yes, exactly. It's the psychological
That's
tension
true.
that's
I'll
throughout
give
the
you
whole
that.
film. So,
But also, Danny does have the ability to read people's minds.
I guess that's true.
Like,
That's The Shining.
he
But
has
again, that's
The
technically
Shining.
sci-fi.
I guess if he has a
Again,
scientific.
It's
method,
all. It is all. It
purpose
gets
behind
real rough around the edges here. So, but all this to say that when we talk about horror, this is what we're talking about. We are not having a conversation today about Lord of the Rings, which has monsters and wizards and things like that.
I mean, there's scary parts of Lord of the Rings, like with
Right.
Shelob, because Peter Jackson started in horror.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Is he the one who did the goriest movie? With
No,
the
I don't think the gory. He did Dead
lawnmower?
Alive, which is known as one of the
that what it
goriest.
is?
Yeah,
Man.
he made splatter films,
Yeah.
which are known for just the absolute over the top gore. Yeah,
Like almost comedic amounts.
yeah. No, not even you never take it
That's
seriously.
literally comedic.
But there's a
amounts.
guy it's like a zombie movie, and he takes a lawnmower.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting.
Okay, so with that being said, what is the tension here? Like, why is this something that we're talking about on Save and Continue? What is the problem with Christians and horror that is put on horror? What is the problem that is put on horror?
Horror generally addresses things that aren't nice and kind and clean. Don't regularly fit in with what the, I would say, typical sense of good moral fun or what, I don't know what the term you would want to use there, but good morals that we stereotypically give to the Christian ethic, the Christian life. We're talking about intentionally feeling fear, which is not something that we like to do as Christians. We're supposed to live without a spirit of fear, but a spirit of boldness. And so that, but also blood, murder, like explicitly sinful things happen in horror movies and video games and whatnot. And so there is a pretty strong contingent of Christians who would say that watching or experiencing those intentionally would be a sinful act. Also, watching a movie where somebody gets killed or there's a bunch of blood, or a lot of these movies will also contain nudity, will contain a lot of
a lot of the 80s
lot
ones,
of profanity, yeah, or they are explicitly demonic
That's more what I'm
in the
thinking,
nature
yeah.
of what they contain, satanic in how they are, what they portray, and people are uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
People that would not want to experience that in real life, and so have found that it should not be something we experience in our media.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's interesting that you came to the demonic and the supernatural part of it last, because that was where my brain goes first, is there's like this really supernatural element to it. But
Sure.
as you were talking, it occurs to me that there's a lot of supernatural fiction out there.
Oh, yeah.
And Christians aren't as up in arms about these things. Like Good Omens is one that has an angel and a demon in it, but Christians aren't nearly as up in arms about something like that as
In
they
that,
are.
they're going to be more upset about the homosexual relationship.
Right.
Than the heretical depiction of demons and angels.
But so, I mean, it's really the combination. I think, like, people will say, oh, they talk about spirits and you're opening yourselves up to whatever else, but they don't give that same label to anything that has supernatural stuff in it.
Sure.
It's mostly supernatural horror that they specify that has these things. So I think that it's like, again, you brought up the demonic and supernatural last, and I actually, as you say it, I think that might be appropriate. Where mostly,
I mean, that's just the subgenre that didn't come to my mind first.
and I'm thinking to myself that the content of it is like, I think Christians would be more upset or wary of a violent movie with murder and whatever else that has no supernatural entities in it at all than a Disney Pixar movie that has pretend angel and pretend demon in it.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's more vibes based than it
Yeah.
is like theological content based. How it makes you feel, and if it makes you feel bad, if you're certain, then you might say, well, then we shouldn't feel that way. We shouldn't watch that.
Yeah.
Or if it contains, I think really it's more the idea of sin. If it contains something that we would determine is sinful, then why would we involve ourselves in that?
Man, that's why so much. I will say, actually, we've been getting way, way, way better with this. There's been a lot of really quality Christian contents made in the past few years, but for a good long while, I think that's why Christian movies and television and whatever else felt so propagandistic and bland almost.
You're
is
afraid
ones
to
like,
address these things.
yeah, how do we do this without making our main characters sinful?
Yeah.
Like, how do we make characters that don't portray sin or don't do these
Or
things
are not even like the idea of somebody who can be sinful and then like repent.
and then yeah.
But what if they don't want to? What if they're just a person? What if they really struggle with something and really don't want to? And like, there's no ambiguity.
Yeah.
There has to be a black and white way it works, and it just leads to, we don't want to address how life is.
Again, I will admit that it's been much, much better in recent years.
Sure, yeah, there's
some
been
really
a
good content.
willingness to
But
move forward.
for a long time, man, it was rough. So
Yeah.
and so just wanting content that doesn't. I want to say promote sin, but I'm even going to say like normalize sin.
That's
When, spoiler alert, sin is normal.
right. I think that's what, like, there's an idea of, well, that's bad, and sometimes horror movies we have fun watching it, and so therefore we are having fun with sin. I think there's like it transfers to, well, then you just enjoy that kind of idea. You're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and in that game that you're enjoying are demons, and so therefore it's a demonic thing to do.
Yeah.
When in reality, that's not really how it works. Like, it's the presence of something. We take the nouns of it. We say, well, there is murder, and therefore it is sinful, rather than say, well, what's the context behind it? What is the message behind it? Yeah, sometimes it is sinful. Sure, I'm not going to say it never would be, the attitude we have toward it, but it is an interest in just kind of giving it a blanket, like, no, rather than a nuance. that I think leads to this kind of attitude toward a whole genre of experience.
Well, and you're absolutely right when you talk about vibes, the feeling it gives you, because movies like The Marksman or whatever are movies that a lot of Christians really love, where it's about a guy that goes out and saves people, but he definitely kills people on the way, definitely murders people.
Oh, there's
along the
always
way.
exceptions, aren't
But
there?
they're bad people, so it's okay,
Yeah,
you know,
wait a
and
minute.
whatever else. And but that makes you feel good. This is a heroic person going out, getting rid of bad people to save other good people. Whereas murder in other context is that, you know, the feeling that you get from it. This makes me feel bad. This makes me feel good. Therefore, they're different. Like this is sinful. That
it's
is
vibes
not.
based.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So overall, I think a lot of the argument that's going to come, though, is going to come from the spiritual side of things. And whether or not the reality of it is vibes, mostly, I think the argument people are going to say is when you are watching things with demons and spirits and ghosts, you are opening yourself up to this world and allowing these things to be a part of your world. What do you think about that argument?
I feel like that's pretty narrowly used. That is true for everything. I mean, it can be true for anything is what I mean. Not that it's true for everything.
Right.
I also do believe that I can say, no, I'm not. I'm choosing not to. I don't give the power to this movie to then let a demon do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It kind of degrades the power of the, of God, like the protective nature of, of the Holy Spirit, to say, this movie that somebody made is more powerful than the Holy Spirit that I have, that I have within me. And so I think it can be, it really is just an attitude that we have toward things. I think the problem with horror movies and the horror genre is the problem with a lot of sin, is that it's not as black and white as we want it to be. That there are many, many things in life that, depending on the context and situation we find ourselves in, could be sinful, could be perfectly fine. Depending on who we are, what we deal with, the kind of addictions we have, whatever it might be. And for a lot of people, horror movies, it's just easier to say that is a certain genre that is sinful.
Yeah.
Rather than, you're not interested in watching it and you don't want to know the context. That's fine. You don't have to. But to then say, well, anybody who then engages with it is sinning is pretty surface level. Yes.
Yeah. A crazy blanket statement.
Yeah.
Because I do want to say they're not necessarily wrong. Like,
right.
There is a reality of opening ourselves up to a spiritual realm. For example, the explicit and obvious things are like tarot cards, Ouija boards, things like that. These are objects that the express purpose of them is to get some sort of
there's no
spiritual divination.
If you are not using a Ouija board to, even if it feels like a joke, to talk to something to see what it says, then what does it do? Like,
right.
What is the point of it?
Exactly.
What are you doing?
So, like, using these things is pretty explicitly trying to communicate with a spiritual realm. This is opening yourself up to that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's actually pretty blatantly what the Bible says we should not be doing. But when it comes to just, this is an innocuous thing, this is a fictional film, I think that has an equal amount of possibility to open you up to sin or a spiritual realm or whatever else as sports.
Why not?
If you're passionate about sports, you are going to become obsessive, and this is going to be something that your spirit is involved in. Like your we talked about this before, the core of who you are can get involved with sports in a lot of ways, and your passion for this team or for this game or whatever else is happening. And that can really get your spirit mixed up in a lot of weird ways on what is important and what is not important. Money is the easiest one. It's one of the things that's talked about the most in the Bible is money, you know? And so there are so many different things that can open you up to a spiritual realm or to when I say spiritual realm, I mean that second realm that has things that actually exist that can impact your spirit. And yeah, there's a lot of things that can do that. Horror is one of them.
Sure.
To an equal amount as
a rom-com.
Yeah.
That can give you a false sense of what it means to be, you know, to have romance and to be in a relationship.
That's a great example.
Like, art itself is made to elicit an emotional response.
Yeah.
That is generally the purpose. Not all emotions can lead to sin, depending on how it's utilized and what it leads to.
I mean, just Disney movies, 90s and before, essentially set up this mindset of girls are princesses and they should wait for a prince to come and save them. Boys are heroes that should go save the princess.
Yeah.
And then we get this entire, I mean, for a long time, that was acceptable and that was the culture.
Just the standard.
Right. But then in the 90s, going into the early 2000s, we get this idea of girls saying, wait, I don't need anybody to save me. I can save myself. But still a whole lot of men that are there like, I want to be your white knight. I want to save you. I want to, you know, do all the things for you and whatnot. And then women are like, but I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't need
a damaging attitude toward our sense of self.
And so exactly. These are things that have gotten into our spirit and made us think and believe and act in certain ways, but it has nothing to do with horror or demons or whatever else.
It's why the concept of horror, the horror genre gets the brunt of this attitude because it's so viscerally obvious.
Yeah.
Is what I think. Like, you can't watch Friday the 13th and be like, what a nice fun comedy. Like, it's just people being stabbed by a guy or spoilers, not a guy with a knife. Like, it's pretty obvious that these are sinful things. There's not really anybody out there trying to say, no, this is what should be happening, you know, like, but rom-coms or a Disney movie about a prince, you know, somebody saving a princess isn't necessarily like inherently wrong if somebody is in danger and somebody saves them, and it just contributes to an attitude that we don't examine, that we don't need to examine necessarily. But if somebody's out there saying, yes, I'm going to go stab you like this horror movie villain I saw, that's pretty obvious that it's sinful. So it gets the brunt of this feeling of it is sin. It is not something to be engaged with. It is something to be cut off from how we feel or what the things we enjoy. If enjoying it in and of itself is wrong.
Yeah.
And so the problem there is we are still going to feel afraid. We are still going to have horrific experiences in life. Horror movies are not simply a method to enjoy a viscerally horrific experience. The best horror movies are not about the horror, the emotion. Right. They are about the message behind. I mean, I've said this several times, maybe on this podcast, but one of the best movies and best horror movies ever made is The Exorcist. I don't know if you'd agree. It's incredibly good. It's got some really cool technical skill behind it. How they did some effects, things like that. It's a pretty famous movie as far as some of like the lines with like Reagan and how, you know, pretty horrific things she says when she is possessed. The movie is not about that, though. The movie is not about Reagan. The movie is not about demon possession. The movie is about faith and being afraid of not being in control.
Yeah.
The movie is about a mom scared for her daughter and doing anything she can to save her. And the movie is about a young priest who gives up his life in order to say, like, it is not about the horror. Like and that's, you have to be willing to engage with it a little more than, whoa, look at how scary that is, or that thing that it's showing is sinful, in order to understand the message behind it. And a lot of us are not willing to take that extra step because it is hard to watch, which is perfectly fair. We should make that clear. You're not required
Oh,
to
absolutely.
watch a
not.
horror movie.
Let me be perfectly
Yeah.
clear. I haven't watched a horror movie in a long time.
Sure.
Because I get nightmares.
Yeah.
And so I choose not to.
Yeah.
I have a problem with them, but I haven't in a long
There's a
time.
certain subgenre that I will not watch.
Yeah.
Based on, if I see reviews that it's about that, probably not going to be helpful for me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ones I choose not to watch. So you're not required to. I don't think we're not trying to make that argument of, well, no, it's not inherently sinful, so you need to go watch The Exorcist right now. No, that's fine. It's fine. You're going to be okay if you don't watch it. But to blanket demonize, ironically, an entire genre of art because of your vibes, of the feeling you get from it that you don't like, and deciding everybody else needs to do what you do, is a problem. It's not a way to engage with art. It's not a way to engage with other people.
Oh, this is Romans 14, right? So Romans 14, contextually, there were the Jewish people who became Christians, and then the Gentile people who became Christians. And the Jewish people had a lot of preconceived notions as what is okay, what is not okay. The Gentile people did not. And there were Gentile, pagan festivals, like Roman and
Sure.
Greek gods and the whole things, where they would sacrifice these animals, then cook the meat, and all in honor of a pagan god.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, now we feast together. And there were some Christians who would go and join the feast, not any of the worship, not any of the religious aspect, but they would go and just join in the feast. They would eat with people, they would sit with people, they would talk with people. And there were others who would say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That is meat that was sacrificed to a god. You can't be taking a part in this. And so they write to Paul, and Paul's basic thing was, no, it is not explicitly a sin. What is explicitly a sin, though, is betraying your convictions.
Yes, your conscience.
Yes. If you do not think it's okay, and you would feel guilty, like you betrayed God if you went to go do that, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Do not do it. If you are just fine with it and you don't at any point think that you're betraying God, hey, go for it. You can go talk to some people there. You can go, spread the gospel, whatever you want to do. I'm adding words to this to be very,
Sure,
very
yeah,
clear, but
paraphrasing and
yes, but at the end of the day, he says, and this is an actual quote, do not destroy the work of God for the sake of food.
yeah.
In the same way, there can be a lot of great spiritual conversations, a lot of great spiritual realizations, a lot of great talk about the Bible and whatever else because of horror. Do not destroy the work of God for the sake of a genre. Like, just because it has a genre stamp on it doesn't mean that good can't come of these things. So with that being said, how do you think that we as Christians can think better about horror? What are ways that we can take it more responsibly or look at it differently, or ways that we should not partake in it? Like things that we should say, you know what, that is too far. That is crossing the line. What do you think is a better way to consider these as Christians?
I think the personal is a good place to start. Personally, something that is demonic, that explicitly has a demonic presence, I don't even think it has to be by my standards, a good horror movie to freak me out. The biggest example of this is Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Came out when I was in high school. It's very simple. I appreciate the movie for a lot of reasons, for its simplicity and for how it can elicit a certain attitude without really doing much. But because of that, it freaked me out. Just this simple, there's a moment in it where it's one of those found footage, we filmed this at home. Comes downstairs in the morning, his keys are on the floor instead of on the counter. And I was like, that's kind of freaky. I don't put my keys on the floor. Why are they there? Obviously not this viscerally terrifying thing, but it just stuck in my brain. And then there's other stuff like that. At one point, a little chandelier is just kind of shaking a little bit. And you're like, wait, why is it doing that? That freaked me out for a little while. Not the greatest movie of all time, but still enough to freak me out and made me feel a way I did not want to feel. And so I decided this is kind of a subgenre I'm not going to watch. I believe the demonic realm, demonic entities are real. Do I believe that specific thing is going to happen to me or is something that can? Whatever. No, but it's just something I don't like that feeling. So if you want to engage in horror, like I do, I really appreciate the concept of horror. I find it fascinating. Know your limits. Know what will cause you to feel. We should have a spirit of boldness and not a spirit of fear.
Fox has a cold, to be clear.
We don't have... Yeah, hopefully this is being edited out. We don't have a logical reason to be afraid of demons. And if watching a movie causes me to be afraid of these things, then it shouldn't be something that I engage with.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's illogical to feel that way, and I don't want to. It's allowing some kind of part of my brain to take over my actual knowledge that I am safe and secure in the love and protection of Christ. So I don't do that. So I think that's a good place to start. If you want to watch horror, like I do, play horror games, whatever, know your limits, know what you believe, what will cause you to feel a way that you shouldn't, will cause you to betray your own convictions, and then stick to that. That's great. That's perfectly fine. You should do that. You are not obligated to engage with any kind of art that you don't want to.
I would say that a good starting place would also be to have a better understanding of our enemy. Because, let's be clear, the things depicted in many horror films are explicitly evil. And that's exactly my point. They are explicitly and obviously evil.
Yeah.
They are bad. And to think that our enemy is twirling his mustache in a corner going, now I'm going to murder babies.
You think Satan had a mustache? It makes him funnier looking to me. I'm not saying everybody with a mustache is funny looking. I'm just saying...
Technically, you and I have mustaches.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying... Satan with a mustache is a funny sentence to me. So
Satan with a mustache. But all of this... You threw me off.
Sorry, I threw
now,
you off, man. Know our enemy.
All of this, yes, is just... Again, that is true that is evil. He knows that too.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be coming at you being like, hey, man, nudge, nudge, want to do evil?
Want to go around Camp Crystal Lake and kill a bunch of teenagers with a knife?
Like all the cool kids do? No. I mean, we've made this joke before, but he looks way more like pastors who are almost Christian, but just are right on that side of heretical.
Yeah.
Like the enemy looks way, way more...
Like some kind of sheep, maybe, in the clothing of a different animal or something.
Yeah. Wolf in sheep's clothing. There you go.
Sorry, switch that. Yeah.
Like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes. So when we think back to the Satanic Panic and we heard all of these things about cults that were kidnapping children and murdering babies and all this stuff, number one, none of that was substantiated. 11,000 reports and zero.
That was the craziest
evidence.
stat from Devil in the Deep Blue Sea.
Yes.
By the way, if you're interested in more about this topic, listen to Devil in the
Deep
Deep Blue Sea. It is a podcast from Christianity Today. It was really great.
It's outstanding. It really, really is. That more than anything talks about our willingness to believe things that aren't true.
Yeah.
And so in exactly the same way, this is not how the enemy thinks. He's not trying to tempt people to his side by baby blood. That's not his mindset here. His mindset is sports. Like I was saying before, nationalism, these types of things that feel good and feel right, but taken to an extreme, that's where they get dangerous, and that's where they begin to hurt us and, turn into sin. So have a better understanding that, okay, yes, this is about a ghost nun and she's evil and loves the devil or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Sure, yeah.
But man, that's not how the enemy really is going to present himself, herself, whatever type, because there are plenty of different forms of the enemy out there. But understand that it is way more nuanced than that. The real blatant evil side of things, it is bad and it is scary and it is evil. That's probably not the enemy actually tempting you, though. Nobody's leaving those movies being like, I want to do that.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you should. If you leave a slasher movie and feel convinced that, I'm going to go be a serial killer now, I don't think it was the slasher movie that really was the problem.
That's such a good point.
I don't. If you're like, wait a minute, that sounds like the right thing to do. There's also the something to consider is that it's movie making. There are a lot of horror movies. I don't think The Shining is very scary. It was. I mean, part of that's just the evolution of what we consider fear or what horror movies do.
I think
it's unsettling. Yes, sure, it can be. It's not viscerally scary, really, most of the time. It is a feat of filmmaking, though. It's very interesting to watch and see how it's how things are constructed within the horror. What I find fascinating about the genre is, why do we want to scare ourselves? Why do we want to address these things? There's a lot there that I can't address because I'm not like a psychologist, but like, why do we want to do these things? And then how do we do these things? What do we do? There is a movie I will never watch again called Hereditary that is extremely good at the subtlety and also overtly horrific imagery that is fascinating. Again, I'll never watch it again because it wrecked me when I watched it. That was an example of one that, probably wasn't one to watch. But the idea of how do we construct an image in a film? How do we create a tone in a video game that creates this unsettling? First of all, I just think it's fascinating from a craft perspective. Like, you can watch a lot of like Dawn of the Dead, that trilogy, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead, are all very fascinating with how they can makeup and gore, and how do you construct these things, and how do you portray them and make it seem realistic, even though you know it's obviously not. It's all very fascinating too. I think there's an element of watching a horror movie from the aspect of, I'm a fan of film and I like how they are constructed and how they use
it's art.
How they use human emotion and human understanding to portray a certain message. Barbarian was a really good way of doing that. It had a really good message behind it. Mm-hmm. You can tell a good message through these horrific things. Mm-hmm. It's just story writing. To say because it's horrific, because it's in this genre, it doesn't get these like other aspects of filmmaking and story writing and art, is doing yourself a disservice.
And I would even say that horror video games can be a positive thing in this aspect, because a video game explicitly wants to make you feel more in control and more powerful as the game progresses. If you continually feel the same amount of out of control the entire game, it gets less fun to play. Like if there was an exception, what was Outlast out? You played these on our old YouTube.
Yeah, channel. I played Outlast.
Outlast, that what it is?
Yeah. We go to the asylum. And
yes, and you're mostly just running and hiding, and that's kind of the
pretty
whole
much
game.
Never have an option to fight back.
Right.
Yeah.
And that lasted like 2 games, and
there's a couple Outlast games,
but for the games that really last, they have this really good balance of, you begin feeling very weak and helpless, and then you gain control and power as the game progresses, until finally you realize, I am strong enough to be in control here. Like, I am strong enough to.
Yeah, Resident Evil does this a lot. There's a roller coaster of feeling of power and whatnot.
And as Christians specifically, we should recognize that through Christ, we are strong enough to stand against these things. Like, it's a process sometimes, and maybe we don't believe it a lot of the times, but the reality is while we are indwelled with the Holy Spirit of God, we can withstand these things. We are more powerful than these things. You know, we can call out spirits just like the apostles did, just like Jesus did. We have strength and power through the Holy Spirit. Again, sometimes we don't feel that way. Sometimes it's still scary. Sometimes, whatever else, that's fine. I'm not saying that if you don't believe this in your heart sometimes that it's bad. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to have concern. But the reality is, we win. We win.
Yeah.
They lose.
Yeah.
And being able to experience horror and to remind ourselves that the good guys win in the end, that is a good thing. And that is a good reminder, especially for us as Christians, because, spoiler alert, the good guys win in the end. Yeah. Well, Fox, any more thoughts about horror, about Christianity and horror, or anything like that?
I think ultimately the hardest part about this conversation is that while we've been saying, it's vibes based and kind of decrying that as like It still is. Like, it is. If you are watching a horror movie and get a feeling of, I shouldn't be watching this, don't watch it. That's fine. You are not obligated. You should double check how you're feeling about any art you are engaging in. Saying, this is not for me. I'm not going to be a part of this. I think that the problem we get into is deciding for other people that they are not allowed to be a part of, not engage with it either. The last thing that I've been thinking about too is there's honestly a lot. Let's just say this: the horror genre as a whole owes a lot to the Catholic Church.
Yeah, it's a fact.
The tradition and history of the church is ripe with opportunities for horror. So sometimes actually to genuinely believe that you can actually that there are movies that use the church to demonstrate the fear that people have of the church. What comes to mind, I mean, The Exorcist is like that a little bit, but also Immaculate. Immaculate came out last year, 2 years ago. About Sydney Sweeney is a young nun that gets transferred to this place in Italy, a convent in Italy. I won't go into the details, but remember, when you watch movies, it's very important to remember that the surface level might not necessarily be the message of the movie.
Right.
The plot is not the point of the movie necessarily. And we have an opportunity to address the problems with the church, the problems with humans being the church through art in horror. We get to put a face to these, put a name to these kinds of things, and also it being entertaining. And also it's what art does. And I think there is not just simply an opportunity to have fun and watch a movie, but also to learn about how the world feels about our faith sometimes through watching certain movies. Sometimes it can literally be maybe an educational experience. It might be worth your time to look into these kinds of films and maybe games. I don't know if there are any games like that, but that'd be great. So not only not a negative, but a positive.
Can be a positive.
Yes.
I will just toss out, yes, there are sometimes things that are explicitly sinful. Like pornography is the easy thing to go to here. There is no non-sinful way to consume this. If you just overall do not get good vibes from it, don't do it, man.
That's fine.
It's fine. But yeah, horror as a genre, not inherently sinful. In fact, as you just said, can often be a positive to partake of in some ways. All right. Well, guys, let us know what you think about horror as a genre. Let us know what you think as Christians partaking in horror. Or do you have an example of Christian horror? The Bible has lots of
actually,
crazy
it's
things.
called Leprechaun in the Hood.
With the zombie fly girls.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on here. But before we do so, I would like to tell you a little story about my friend, Minnie. She's my friend Jeff's wife, but she's also my friend. She's cool, but she is kind of like an introverted gal and had never played Dungeons and Dragons before in her life. We invited her and Jeff to the table. She, I'm going to say begrudgingly, I don't want to speak for her, but I'm going to say begrudgingly accepted because her husband really wanted to go. She played a bard. And at one point I joked, now you have to sing a song. And she got this look on her face like, what? And I'm like, I'm totally kidding. And we all laughed and we played. Like 3 or 4 sessions later, she's like, and I do this and this. And then, I cast healing word or whatever else. And she pulls a recorder out of her bag. And I kid you not, plays like a, 5 measure song. Just something real brief and quick. And we were all like, yeah, like it was the coolest thing in the world.
Hope she rolled with advantage after.
Well, so I play with a version of inspiration that's more like Benny's from Savage World. All this to say that you get a D6 as a reward, and you can use that to re-roll with a D6 at any time, and you can acquire as many of these as you earn.
Oh, nice.
Not only did I give her 2 for this, everybody else at the table gave her 1 of their own. And so she ended up getting 5 inspiration points for this. Yeah, it was bonkers. But it was this really, really awesome opportunity for somebody who is usually pretty, kind of quiet and introverted to feel comfortable and confident enough to do something that in most other contexts would be incredibly nerve-wracking and awkward and rough. But she did it, and it was awesome. And we got to celebrate her, and we got to celebrate this moment. If you are looking for a place where you can have moments like this, where you can have people around you that want to celebrate you, that you can feel comfortable taking risks with, having fun with in these types of ways, we want to find a community like that for you at Save Point Ministries. Our whole goal is to help find a real world incarnate community that will surround you and love you and build you up and make you feel safe to do things like this, but also will love you in the name of Jesus and be your local church. So if you would like a place like this, head over to savepointministries.com. We would love to help find you a community like that. All right, Fox, what have you been up to, my friend?
Really, what I've been doing is just waiting for Final Fantasy. Waiting, that makes sense. I've been waiting for Resident Evil
Waiting for
9.
the Final Fantasy.
Requiem?
There have been so many before. We're in the final one. Go ahead.
You know what's interesting is that, you know how it's called Final Fantasy? There are so many of them.
Whoa!
Oh, what? Crazy. No, I said Final Fantasy because I've been playing Final Fantasy X just as I wait, because I like Final Fantasy X and I play it a lot.
When Final Fantasy X-2 came out, I was legitimately a little annoyed because
It was a great game.
my brain... I love playing with dolls. My brain...
It's called a job system. It's a standard part of JRPG genre.
My brain was always like, look, this is a world-ending story in every world. It is the final story of each of these worlds that we're visiting. It's a different world every single time, and it's like some sort of finale, some sort of world-ending event, whether it's stopped or saved or whatever else. The idea is there is going to be a world-ending event.
Sure.
Then they came out with 10-2.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, guys, you don't understand the Final Fantasy.
Hey, what happens when somebody whose life is dedicated to saving the world and probably going to die in the process doesn't? What do you do after you save the world from a JRPG monster? And now you just have a life to live. Final Fantasy X-2. You should play it. It's really great.
It is.
I watched the movie Begonia.
It is kind of a fun game, actually.
It's very good. I watched the movie Begonia. Begonia is, oh, dang it, who's the director? He's been on fire lately. He's been 3 or 4 movies in the last couple of years.
Joan of Arc.
Yep, that's what it is.
He said that he's been on fire. So.
Good one. Anyway, the movie is called Begonia. It came out last year. It won awards. It's very popular. Is Emma Stone and
Yorgos Lanthimos?
Yeah, Yorgos Lanthimos. Yes.
Lanthimos.
He did Kinds of Kindness. He did a few other things. The plot of the movie is that a young man kidnaps and his brother kidnapped the CEO of a general company. They never really get too specific about what they do, except for they make like pesticides and some other kind of like products of some kind, beauty products maybe. They kidnap her, and you discover that the young man is convinced that the CEO is a Andromedon, an alien.
Okay.
Who is undercover on
from
Earth,
Andromeda. Okay.
performing
Yeah,
experiments. Yeah, from the galaxy Andromeda, performing experiments on humankind. So they kidnap her and force her to chain her up in their basement, and he essentially is attempting to force her to create a meeting. He wants to meet with the royalty of their kind and discuss the cessation of all experiments and all these, the contact between them, that they would leave us alone. If as you might imagine, it's a movie that you don't want to know the ending of, you don't want to know anything really about before you go into it. I will say, it is probably, there's a very easy way to make a character like I forget his name, but the kidnapper, make him, he is very online. He is very conspiracy theorist. It's a very easy way to make him just a laughingstock, to make him some idiot joke of a person. Right wing, internet, chud, whatever. They do he is a lot of those things, but they do a very good job of, you understand why he's doing this. You understand what has happened in his life to lead him to a place that he believes this is the right thing to do, that he is convinced that he is helping the world, that it is pretty interesting, the relationship between him and his brother or cousin. His cousin is played by somebody who has some kind of mental disability, like in real life, which it's very fascinating and gives a certain flavor to the actual movie and to that relationship. And feels obviously very realistic.
Yeah.
It's also just kind of a roller coaster of a movie. The ending is excellent. And regardless of the ending, regardless of all that, what I really appreciate about it is that it gives a voice to somebody, to a certain genre of person, somebody who could be easily a stereotype, and demonstrates, no, you're not just a terrible internet whatever. People have reasons for what they believe, why they believe what they're doing is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Even if what they're doing is explicitly terrible, you understand. It's a very good villain, I suppose, to describe. It's a really good movie. I would highly recommend it.
Well, and it sounds like kind of the right time for something like this where we're at a point where we think that everybody is I use this term a lot, a mustache twirling villain.
Yes.
When really everybody has a reason to believe the things they believe.
Right.
Like nobody is out there just saying, I want to be bad and evil.
Sometimes those reasons are more acceptable than others.
Right.
But yes, there's nothing that we don't do anything unmotivated.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, that's interesting.
So I could see somebody seeing the preview for it or starting like watching the first half an hour and being like, they're just making fun of me, whatever, and turning it off. But I promise you, watch it all the way through.
I have been playing a game called Reanimal.
Ah, you're playing Reanimal. Okay.
Reanimal is the new game from video game studio.
They made
Little Nightmares 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I've been playing it with my oldest. We originally had this idea of actually like putting it online. My middle and I once a month put on a round of rounds that we play. And so my oldest and I were going to do Reanimal. So we found out that it's M-rated and we're like, beans. So we've just been playing it. But number one, it is couch co-op, which Little Nightmares 3 was not. So this immediately elevated it in our home to something better.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. I loved Little Nightmares 1 and 2, other than the platforming on it felt a little clanky
floaty,
at times. Yeah. This still does, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's strange.
But it's good. It's really good. It brings the exact same sort of atmosphere as Little Nightmares 1 and 2, but this is like your main characters here are more like teenagers. They're probably more like 15, 16 years oldish, at least what it seems like. And it also feels like the horror has grown up a little bit. It is a little more visceral and a little more, gruesome and terrifying. Like we're talking empty suits of skin hanging from the ceiling, and this thing can teleport through them and burst out of the stomachs of bloated men sitting around and whatnot. And it is, I'm not going to say it's terrifying because it's not that type of scary, but it is unsettling. We've been talking about this for a whole long time, but it's also been super fun to do this co-op. I was listening to a podcast, the Besties one that we both listened to, and it said, well, it can't be horror because when it's co-op, then it loses all of that vibe when you're sitting with somebody or talking with somebody.
I understand what they were saying.
Hard disagree.
Sure.
Hard disagree. Not only was it still scary for us, it was so fun to be scared together. I had the same experience years and years and years ago when we played Slender the Arrival, you and I together.
Yeah.
That game was scary.
It is.
We were legitimately scared together. And it was so fun for it. I loved having that experience of being scared with somebody and then being able to talk about it afterward and whatever else. And so it does a really great job of balancing the innocent and the scary, the ice cream man truck, tricycles, things like that. Playgrounds and whatnot, but also just being genuinely unsettling. It's a good little puzzle platformer. It's a lot of fun. Again, other than the platforming itself being just a little, because the game wants to be dark. It wants to be very dark, and platforming in a 3D area, the best way that you have to handle that is with the shadow underneath the character.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Look
yeah.
at the shadow underneath
That's
the
a
character,
classic
and that's where
method,
you're going to
yeah.
land. But when it's dark in the room, you can't see the shadow that well. And
Whoops.
so it's just, that's like my main complaint with 1 and 2. 3 is a whole nother story. 3 was fine at best, but that's because this studio didn't make it. But Reanimal, great game, even better to play with a friend. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Fox, what has brought you to worship, my friend?
I know we usually talk about like other things, other movies and whatnot that we talk about in this realm, but what brought me to worship this week was a child's birthday party. They didn't know I was there, but I had a great time. No, we had one of Austin's, my son's friends from church invited us to a birthday party, and yeah, sure, of course. So we go, and other people that we knew that we didn't expect to be there, including several couples that we know from church who don't have kids.
Oh.
Who were invited, to be clear, were invited, were there. And it really like made me appreciate the idea of like I've come to learn the truth behind the idea of like takes a village to raise a child, you know?
Yeah.
Like you need one, you should want a village. Like but it just like inhabited that at just a Sesame Street birthday party with a bunch of music playing and classic, you know, child's birthday party stuff, but like hanging out with it was really nice to have. It was explicitly the church where, no, I don't have a kid who is friends with your kids. I don't even have kids, but I love you and I love your children, and I want to celebrate with you the fact that your child is turning 2 years old, and I'm just gonna be here and hang out and eat some food and, you know, be a part of life together. And it was a very nice moment. Mm-hmm. To just have friends, the ones you didn't expect to be at a thing where, you know, there's no technical reason for them to be there, logical reason or whatever. So it was a really great party. It was a children's birthday party. It was anything. Yeah. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary, except for the church was there. The church was there and was a part of it and just got to celebrate with each other.
That's awesome.
The thing that was important to them.
Yeah, your family was there, your friends were there, your wife was there, and then you found that it was an intervention, not a birthday party.
Oh, no.
Lent just started this past Wednesday.
It did.
And I decided to basically repeat what I did last year. I may have talked about something like this on our podcast before. I don't think so. I think it may have been our other podcast. But anyway.
We haven't been doing this one since Lent last year. So
right, yeah. But which means that I gave up mobile games.
Oh.
So I did the same thing last year, gave up mobile games, which I would usually spend 7 or 8 hours on in a week on average, you know, and so that's just time now that I got to find something else to do. And as usual, we have dedicated creation to this time, something that we want to do. And our go-to for that is miniature painting. And so once again, I may have talked about painting before on this podcast. I don't think so, but to take something that is just pure white, you know, we base coat it in white, so it's just a form that is pure white, and to give it life with color, to see what you want something to be, and then to be able to give that form and to be proud of that form, I think is as close as we can get to God in creation. And him looking at something and saying, this is good. And being able to look at these things that I painted and saying, this is good. Like I'm actually proud of this. We went and we had some minis that we had painted, but hadn't done the base for yet, just sitting out for a while. Some of them that I painted like a year and a half ago, I finally pulled those out. I'm like, I'm just going to base everything, put like stuff on the base flock or whatever, paint the base of everything. And it has some of these things that I had from a year and a half ago that I looked at one point and said, this is good. And looked at what I was doing now, and I got to see how much I've improved and see how much better I've gotten over this time. And it's just been, again, this time to see not only my improvement, but also to be able to connect with God in that way of creation, to be able to take something that did not have form, give it form, look at it, and honestly think to myself, this is good. Not in a prideful way, but in a way that just, this is good, man. I'm
Yeah.
happy with this. And whenever I'm just very, very pleased with the miniature when I complete it, I genuinely feel a sense of worship and just that this is a connection to God and creation right now. So yeah.
Awesome.
Well, guys, that's what we got for this week. Thank you so much for listening. We want to say a really big thank you to the Music Mechanic for the creation of our theme song.
Woo woo.
Woo! Go check him out on YouTube, the Music Mechanic. He's a pretty cool guy.
He's all right. Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
Also want to just shout out Save Point Ministries. It's a ministry that Steve founded. I am on the board of.
Yep.
And our goal is to connect people with people, to put it very basically, because a lot of our connections in this day and age, in especially in the United States, is with the internet, with people over distances that couldn't have happened not too long ago. And while those are not inherently bad, it is excellent to have friends online. We do believe that we were created to be in community in real life with people. And we believe that there is a lack of that in this world. And if you are feeling that lack, if you are feeling some kind of need for connection with humans in real life, and you like playing games, if you like video games or board games or tabletop RPGs or insert hobby here, we at Save Point want to be a part of that journey with you and would like to help you connect with somebody specifically through the church. We believe we've been created to be the church. So please jump on the Discord, comment somewhere on whatever you're watching, and we would like to connect with you and see if we can make that happen with you.
If you want more podcasts that are both faith-based and nerdy, then check out the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network. You can also see a lot of cool stuff that Love Thy Nerd is doing over at lovethynerd.com. But mostly, if you want podcasts like this one, but not as cool, of course.
Right. Got to say that every time.
Yeah. No, if you want some incredible podcasts, head over to lovethynerd.com/podcasts, and you can see some really cool stuff on the LTN Podcast Network.
And as we say every week, thank you for listening to Jesus' favorite horrific podcast.
We'll see you later, guys. Saving Continue is made by Save Point Ministries and is a part of the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network. It is produced and edited by Steve Valdez and Radio Matt Coker. Intro and outro music are done by the Music Mechanic. A special thank you to the Glue Network for their support. For more faith-based and nerd-friendly podcasts, go to lovethynerd.com/listen.